Your Humanities Half-hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Hapades and Terro, welcome to your Humanities Half-hour. I'm Catherine Perry, and it's our pleasure to have in studio today another winner of the 2019 Governor's Humanities Award. He is being recognized as Outstanding Humanities Teacher in the classroom. Welcome, Dr. Chaz Algaier.
Thank you, Catherine. Nice to be here.
You know, it's so funny. We recognize each other, but we've never actually formally met until today.
Until today, yeah.
Congratulations on your award. How did you feel when you realized you were being?
I was surprised and honored. I'm not sure really where it came from. I'm assuming maybe students probably nominated me because I guess that's how you get these awards. I thought to myself, this is nice. I think, when you're in the field of education in the CNMI, as I've been for 25 years, that it's kind of somewhat of a recognition of maybe like lifetime achievement.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, well, lifetime achievement, that just means like, man, I'm really old now. And, I don't want to think about what might come next, but it's all good.
Lifetime achievement.
Lifetime achievement. It's nice. It's a nice thing. But I must give a shout out to the Humanities Council. I love working with them. I've worked with them since I came on island, since I was at NMC, and then since I've been at the high school, at Marianas High School. They do great work. They support great work, and I love working with it. I've loved supporting them. So I give a shout out to the Humanities Council. They're the people they're the straw that is stirring the drink.
Well, thank you. Tell us what actually led you to the Marianas. You've lived around the world, kind of.
Yeah, I've lived mostly in Southeast Asia, in the Micronesia. I came out to Micronesia in 1976. I was a Peace Corps volunteer, and
really?
I was in Pohnpei for a couple of years.
Wow, okay.
And then while I was there, I did a tour of Southeast Asia. Figured this is an area I'd like to go back into, so I ended up going with Peace Corps into Thailand, and I worked there for a couple of years. And while I was there, at the end of my stay there, I got married, and we moved to Japan, lived in Japan for a year, then went back to Thailand for a little while, and then got a job in the Philippines, worked in the Philippines for a decade. And when I knew about Saipan because I had friends who were in the Philippines who had gotten jobs here. I had friends who were former Peace Corps volunteers in Micronesia who had gotten jobs here. I wanted to come back to America, and I didn't want to get real close. And this is the place to be if you want to be living in America, technically, but living in a culturally rich, culturally different world than the USA. This is the place to be.
It's amazing how many different ethnicities and cultures are located on Saipan alone, 13 miles long. There's like 20-some ethnicities.
Same thing at the school. We've got I think 25 or more different language groups at Marianas High School. And that's reflective, I'm sure, of all of the schools here.
You mentioned that you came from the Philippines, and I know you spent a number of years there doing some work that was pretty important to you, working with refugees?
Working in the refugees, yeah. It was, we were in a second asylum camp, so we were working with Vietnam War refugees. We were working with Vietnamese, with Khmer, with Lao, and then Amerasians came through, and then specialized group came through, the Montagnards, if you will, the Daga. These people were coming through. It was a fascinating place to work. It was really four cultures there all the time. You had Philippine culture, you had Vietnamese, you had the Lao, you had the Khmer, and then you had these other groups coming through. But it was a fascinating place to work, and it was really enjoyable. Both of my kids were born in the Philippines and raised there until they were, I think we came here, my daughter was 7, my son was 4.
And you actually speak a number of different languages. How do you feel that affects your work as a teacher?
Well, learning languages is not really a tricky deal if you go and live somewhere. And when you find that if you can speak a language, it gives you a certain edge culturally or societally or, wherever you go, you can speak the language. Some places it's more important than others. When I came to the Saipan, English seems to serve all of my purposes here. That's not the same in, say, Thailand, where if you don't speak Thai, you're kind of lost.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So, but languages, you learn them and then you learn them, you use them, you forget them, and they come back if you need them to come back. So
Interesting.
There's that.
So when you first got here, you worked at Northern Marianas College, and you, in fact, were one of the people that helped establish the baccalaureate degree program for elementary education, correct?
That is correct.
Which has turned out so many phenomenal teachers.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
How did it feel to help build that program?
I felt a sense of real professional pride to do that. That's when I came here, I knew that's what they had going on. They had gotten their foot in the door, if you will. Agnes McPheeters had a vision of how this college could grow, and I was able to get put into a position. I came in, I think, as a coordinator, a curriculum coordinator, working with my good friend Roy Fua was the department chair at the time, and just, a lot of people working together to build a very nice degree program. And the goal of the degree program was to enable the CNMI to stop having to go off-island to hire elementary school teachers. And we've succeeded in that goal. If you go to the public school system, I'm real proud to go to the public school system because I've got former students as teachers everywhere. They're administrators, they're principals, they work in central office now, and it's just, it's kind of, I don't want to call it like a coaching tree in basketball, but I got kind of my little educational teacher tree going on. Yeah.
You also served as Dean of Education there and some other roles. How do you feel your time at NMC contributed to your overall profession as an educator?
It gave me insight to administration, and I guess this would be controversial, but the best advice I could give to teachers is remain a teacher. Okay, education's a different job. Administration is a different job than teaching. Personally, I find a lot more fulfillment teaching, so I'm working with students. But I'm good at doing things like coming up with educational objectives, and I'm good at filling out forms, and I'm good at
administration
taking care of the administrative things.
Yeah.
I'm good at that. What's not fun about administration is when you're a teacher, you get to work with kids. And some days kids will be a little troublesome, cause you some grief, but most of the time kids are fun. They're kids, young adults, whatever, adults, whatever. People are fun. But when you work in administration, you'll have some problems as a teacher. But when you work in administration, you have all of the teachers' problems as well.
True.
Teachers will come to me and ask advice like, should I go after this administrative job? These days, I tell them, no. I think you'll be better off. Your personal satisfaction you'll be better off in the classroom. And I should add, administrators don't get that summer off. And I think I knew when I was in third grade. I figured it out. When I was 9 years old, I figured out that if I'm off, my teachers are off. And I think I probably target education as a career when I was a very young person because I was lazy.
Well, lucky us to have reaped the benefits of that. Well, you're back in the classroom now at Marianas High School,
That's
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Teaching AP Advanced Placement classes.
I teach AP classes, Advanced Placement classes. I came in, I started off teaching literature, AP Lit, and then I branched into the histories. I started teaching AP World History, and I taught AP Government. I teach AP U.S. History. I'm teaching AP U.S. right now. And then I started teaching AP Psychology, which is a great class for high school kids. The AP World History is nice for me because I also read for the College Board. Every year they'll send me to. We went to Colorado for a while. We were in Utah for a while. Now we're in Kansas City. But I go every summer and I read AP World History essays that students are writing. And it's a nice professional development opportunity. I work with a bunch of really good professionals from all over the U.S. And it keeps the juices flowing, as they say.
I know the AP program has really taken off in recent years. Before there wasn't even offered in the local high schools. What do you think this means for young people to not only have this on their transcript when they're applying to a college, but for our young people to be discussing things at a higher level and learning things at a higher level. What do you think the significance is of that?
Well, I think you can push kids. Kids are smart. What's the difference between, like, say, high school kids and college kids is really prefrontal cortex development. In other words, as you age, your prefrontal cortex develops its maturity. Now they're guessing now the prefrontal cortex maybe finishes off at around age 30.
What? I thought it was 25.
Even in the 20s, people are still making those kind of irrational bad decisions driven by emotion.
It's only a phase. It's only a phase.
You'll grow out of it. But in terms of, like, knowledge and the ability to learn new things, the ability to learn, say, college-level writing skills, that's present for everyone. You can take that at a very young age. I think when kids are really sharp, they might want to consider skipping high school, going right into college, going into a community college, if they have the ability and the maturity level to deal with it. I think education shouldn't hold kids back. I think education should promote kids and push them forward.
I noticed in the program for the awards dinner, in the write-up about you, it said something about you deliver interesting lectures, or you're known for your interesting lectures. What's that all about?
Well, I like to push envelopes. I like to get kids thinking about things that they have not necessarily have thought about before. And I like to make people laugh. I push humor. So I think I had a kid once tell me that, she said, "Doc, when I come to your class, I never fall asleep because I'm not sure what you're going to say next." And that works for me. If kids are alert, paying attention to whatever we're doing. I guess, I don't know, lectures. I don't lecture all that much. I use a lot of different material in my classes. I want to do a lot of student focus work. So I like to give projects out, and I'll give multiple projects out. I'll give, in a course of a unit or a time period, say in history, I'll give kids several major projects, group work projects or individual projects at the beginning of a period of a unit, and then expect them to take care of it. So I think kids like doing presentations when they're pushed to do that, rather than sitting down and having a teacher talk at them. And I'm not fond of that, but I like working with primary documentation, say in history. I like watching kids figure out how to analyze primary documents, and then how to incorporate those documents as evidence in support of claims in essays. So it's that kind of thing. But I think kids like maybe I might say something, entertaining.
Yeah, sure. Everybody likes to be entertained.
Everyone likes to be entertained,
yeah.
So it works like that.
Well, we're chatting today with Dr. Chaz Algaier, the 2019 Governor's Humanities Award recipient as Outstanding Humanities Teacher in the Classroom. And we'll be back with more after this break.
Did you know that you can donate up to $5,000 to the Humanities Council through the CNMI Education Tax Credit Program? Donations from individuals and corporations qualify and can be used to offset your local wage and salary tax, BGRT, and earnings tax. Call our office at 235-4785 to see how you can support humanities programs in our community and obtain a tax credit for your donation. Sizuus Maasi, Olomai, and thank you.
Welcome back to your Humanities Half-hour. Dr. Algaier, you actually have been recognized, received awards before, including Who's Who Among America's Teacher, and you have the Certificate of Excellence, which I assume means you did very well on the Praxis 1, Praxis 2, Language Arts and Social Studies, correct? And then now you have the Humanities Award as along with others. What is the significance of receiving these recognitions to you?
I think it's maybe a little bit of longevity. I think if you stick around long enough, people start giving you awards because they don't want you to go away sad. I don't know.
No.
Among the awards I've gotten, there's one I'm really proud of. The Gilder Lehrman Institute. They named me a U.S. Territories History Teacher of the Year.
Wow.
And because of that, they gave me some cash, which was a nice thing. They wrote a check, of course. They didn't mail a cash.
What is this institute?
Gilder Lehrman Institute is a repository of primary documents of U.S. history.
Okay.
And if you're a U.S. history teacher out there in the netherworlds of Saipan or Guam, and you need to go to GLI, Gilder Lehrman Institute online, find it, sign up, become an affiliate teacher. Great resources. They've got a ton of stuff available to teachers. Great support for schools. And what they did is they gave me the opportunity to go. They have great seminars all over the U.S. and internationally. So they let me go to Oxford. So I was able to spend a week in Oxford. And the colleagues that you work with when you go to things, these are all like high-end folks. The interactions you get working with your peers in the GLI seminars are great. I did one at Oxford. I did another at Stanford a couple of years ago, working with significant people in the field. They've got videos that you can use in your classroom. It's just a great organization, so I'd like to always give them a shout-out. So, yeah, that was nice.
How do you feel today's high school students relate here in the Marianas to being American? And
That's
how do you make
that
connection real for them?
That's a good question because, my wife is a naturalized citizen, and she always references, well, she's not a real American, but you are a real American. If you've got the passport,
Sure.
You're an American. You're as American as everyone else. The kids here it's an interesting place for them because the kids in my classroom are Americans, but they're also not Americans. Saipan is America, but in a sense, it's Saipan. It's not America. It is a different place. It's a different culture. You make the connection of kids being in America by keeping kids aware of what's going on, both historically and currently in news, I think is an important thing. And a lot of kids have a focus of America in their future. They see themselves going to school in America. I like to awaken kids' ideas up to going to school outside of America. I like to push Europe, for example. My son went to school and got his bachelor's degree in the Netherlands. America's a good place to go for things, but it's not always the only place to go for things. It's not always the best place to go for things. So, broadening horizons is a nice thing. I had a student once who was looking into hotel management programs, and she was trying to get into UNLV because it's a great program at UNLV, and this was after 9/11, she was having problems with her visas. It was hard for her, and I suggested, well, have you ever looked at Switzerland? And she never had. So I sat down with her, and we looked at Switzerland, and, hotel management schools in Switzerland are top of the food chain. She ended up going to Switzerland, getting a degree in Switzerland, managing hotels in Asia. So, there's options available for students. And, by the way, Europe is way cheaper than America.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Way cheaper than America. So there's options available for kids that sometimes they're just not aware of because their focus is narrowed. We make the connection with America because if you've got the passport, you're an American. That's how it plays. That's how it works. And everyone's got the right, and everyone's got the value that comes with being an American. And again, we're kind of a weird little place here. We don't vote for the U.S. president. We don't pay U.S. federal taxes. Thank you very much. We're in a very special place here, so it's kind of nice.
Well, now that you have official title as an outstanding teacher, in your opinion, what makes an outstanding teacher?
Caring for kids. So you can have all the knowledge in your head in the world. You can express that knowledge very well, but if you don't care for kids, and kids know if you care or not, kids know if you're fake or not. If you don't care for kids, you're not going to make a very good teacher. If you don't like kids, you shouldn't be a teacher. And
it's okay to like certain ages of kids more than others, right?
Sure. There are people there are high school teachers who don't ever want to work with elementary school kids. There are elementary school teachers who don't want to work with high school kids. There are teachers everywhere who don't want to work with junior high school kids. But, each group of kids, and when you get to the elementary, there's a difference between lower elementary and higher elementary. For educators, there's a place for if you want to be an educator, you like teaching something, and you have a nominal affinity for working with young adults or whatever, and you can become a college teacher. There's lots of opportunity there. And I've worked with from elementary through college. I've worked with the gauntlet, and I find that high school kids are a nice group to work with. They're naive enough to still be trusting, but smart enough to figure things out.
Oh, you mentioned about the kids needing to know that the teacher cares about them.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel are the needs of students in our classrooms today? And I guess, of course, they have a lot of needs, but what are the needs that we as family members and communities can help meet or support teachers in meeting?
Parents and community. Parents, of course. Parents. You've got a child. You've got to take care of that kid with whatever you've got to do. That's the number one thing.
Parent-teacher conferences are important for you?
Parent-teacher conferences are important to me. If teachers, if parents want to come and talk to me about their kids, I'm always happy to talk to them about the kids. I think a lot of the impetus has to be on the kid himself. The kid. For me, in the relationship with the kid in the school, the kid has to be the one to really be the focus on. If a parent comes in and wants their child to do better, and the child doesn't really care about doing better, it's not really going to happen. My motivation is working with kids and trying to get the kids realizing why, hey, this is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
I believe in never giving kids work unless there's a purpose behind it. I hate filler. I hate time-killing things. I'm going to give you this work, and you're going to do this work because I, the teacher, am lazy and I just want to fill your time up. That bothers me a lot. So I will always have a purpose for everything I do with a kid. And I tell kids this. If you want to know why you're doing something, you can ask me. I'll tell you exactly what I expect this to do for you, this activity to do for you. For the community, the way the community, Marianas High School, it's not a rich kid school. It's a public school. We've got the bell curve of students. We have kids who go to Harvard. We have kids who go to MIT. We've got kids that go hang out at the beach, so we've got the gauntlet of kids. What the community could do, one thing I would push would be the ETC, the Educational Tax Credit. If businesses, you're going to pay taxes anyway, so if you've got businesses and you're going to pay your taxes, you can put that money, you can earmark that money directly towards Marianas High School. Like I say, we're not a high-budget school. We're not a rich school. And any little bit of money helps. People say, well, you just can't throw money at problems. No, but if your students need, toilet paper, you can throw money at that.
And what about teachers? What do you feel is the best thing a parent can do to support a teacher in their work?
I think the very best thing that parents can do for teachers is buy them fried chicken. No, I think, parents have questions for teachers, and I think bringing those questions in are good. Clarifying what you are doing with your kids, how you're working, is a very good thing to do. Be supportive when, for example, if I send kids home with work to do, group work to do, kids are going to need to have access to resources. Kids are going to need to be able to get together with their peers, for example, to meet up on a Saturday, meet up on a Sunday, because it's going to be group work. You got to go somewhere. You got to go to Mango 6. You got to go to Java Joe's, and you've got to work on your projects together. Parents just need to be aware that students have to get out and do things sometimes. They have to go out and do things. So I'll do this for all the kids who are listening on their behalf. Remember that parents need to know that kids sometimes have to play video games. Okay, World of Warcraft is important. Okay, I'll just put it out there like that.
Now, why is that important?
Well, let's just throw bones. Okay. Well, actually, I was listening to a woman who was talking about the positive aspects, the positive mental aspects, and the positive emotional aspects that come from playing video games. And her argument was, it's called Super Better. People can look up Super Better. If people are suffering from anxiety, they go online and they have an avatar and they're playing in a game, and they're in control of their lives, and everything calms down for them, and they feel better about things. And this, I can't remember the woman's name who did the research and who's got this program going on, but yeah, there's something to be said for letting kids be kids. And if this is what kids are doing these days, playing online games, just like when I was a kid, letting a kid be a kid meant letting them go outside and run around with their hoodlum friends and, run through the neighborhoods, play whatever games you're playing, play what sports, whatever.
Yeah.
Parents need to understand that, kids need downtime too.
Yes.
A kid can't always be studying all the time, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And schoolwork is important, but life is important. And you don't want schoolwork to get in the way of life. You want things to kind of roll together where life and school and family and everything is a positive experience all the way. Don't hit your kids. How's that? Don't hit your kids.
That's another good one. You have a number of publications to your credit as well. Is there any particular ones that stand out for you?
There were not particularly. There was something I did when I was in the refugee camp. We had a program where we were developing ESL material for non-speaking adults, and it's a tricky thing because if you've got an adult learner and you've got ESL materials, commonly ESL materials, when you're working with really low-level learners, it's really kind of Dick and Jane, go up Jane, go up.
Yeah.
It's really not hitting their thing. And so while I was there, I developed some reading materials for adult level beginner ESL, and I was able to take a story that was fictionalized. It didn't happen, but I was able to basically write a book about my daughter, who was a fresh little baby at the time, and it was entertaining, and it was humorous, and we had great artists working. The refugee camp was in the Philippines. We had great artists working. They illustrated, and they put me in it. They put my friends in it. They put my daughter, and they put my wife in it. It was a nice story in which I try to steal money meant for my child, and my wife hits me over the head with a baby bottle and gets the money back. Like I said, it never happened. But I think, of all the stuff, I've got different things going on. But in
it
terms
was
of
entertaining, as you said.
Personal satisfaction, that.
All right. What are some of the projects that you've worked with the Humanities Council on? You kind of alluded to that.
When we were... God, there's been a few. Let me think. When we were at the college, we supported. John Feary wrote a really nice book on, flora, fauna in the Sinai. We were able to support him on that. We supported the council when they were trying to bring speakers in. Back when I was at the college. I go to when the Humanities Council organizes speakers. I like to go to those things. Right now, they're doing great work with National History Day, so I'm involved with this project.
Now, what is National History Day?
National History Day is a U.S.-wide and internationally wide, because they get kids coming in from the international schools, and it's a history competition, and kids can compete in the areas of, they can write an essay, they can make a documentary, they can make a web page, they can make a bulletin board, a large, bigger-than-life bulletin board, and there's one more thing they can do that the Humanities Council can yell at me for not remembering. But they've got 5 areas in which they can compete, it's high intensity. They've got to find their own resources, do their own work. At my school as an advisor, I just give guidance. But if you win at a local level, you get to go to somewhere in the States. I think University of Maryland is currently where they're going, and do your presentations with your peers. I've done other work with other school groups where we've gone off to international competition. Mr. John Davis, my colleague and co-worker, put together a really dynamic We the People team. We won, and we went to the States for that, and that was kind of a fun thing to do. I like it when our kids here in the CNMI get to go to the States to compete against things. And when they do that, they go there and they realize that they're at the same level or better than their peer groups in the States. Kids from here will go to JSA for politics. I have a lot of kids now going to Junior States of America, yes. I have kids going to National History Camp. And I've had several kids over the last couple of years going to that. And what happens when kids from here go off to or we have a lot of kids in CNMI go off to the speech competitions, the singing competitions, these events. They come back winning. They win. They place nationally. Last year, our mock trial team went off to compete in the States, and Emmett Timmons, one of our lawyers, placed 4th nationally as a prosecuting attorney. Kids go and they get this experience. They realize that, oh yeah, I can hold my own with these children. Yeah. I'm just as good as they are, and it really changes the way they think. And when kids like that come back to school, they bring that attitude with them. I like it in my classes when kids are competing to outdo each other, because it just raises the bar for the class. I'll share a quick anecdote. I think the first year I taught at MHS, I was teaching AP Lit, and I had kids doing a presentation. You could choose anything you wanted. You had to do a presentation. You want to have a poster, you can have a poster. You want to make a PowerPoint, you can have a PowerPoint, whatever you wanted to do. And my first group came up to it, did a PowerPoint. And the second group came up, the first group came up and did a poster. Second group came up and did a PowerPoint. The third group had a poster. I saw them with their poster, and they said, "Oh, we're not ready. We can't do it today. Can we do it tomorrow?" I said, "Okay, you do it tomorrow." They came back the next day with a PowerPoint.
And a poster.
No, just with a PowerPoint, and I never saw a poster again. Everyone realized, you can deliver so much more information with a PowerPoint than you can with a poster. And so it's like the kids are pushing themselves and they're generating it up. I will still have kids do poster, but I got to sign them the poster. You got to do a poster. Can we do a PowerPoint? No, you got to do a poster. So we'll get like that.
Well, it's been great chatting with you today and finding out some of the things and the way you approach things that have gotten you this award. Congratulations again.
Well, thank you very much.
Any final thoughts before we go?
No, this was very nice, Cass. Thanks for having me over.
Well, thank you. Thank you for making time, and so happy to meet you finally.
Formally, yeah.
Formally.
Yeah, I agree.
Our guest today has been Dr. Chaz Algaier. He is the 2019 Governor's Humanities Awardee as Outstanding Humanities Teacher in the Classroom. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's show. You can contact us on Facebook at 670 Humanities or at nmhcouncil.org. And if you'd like to hear the show again or other Your Humanities Half-hour, please subscribe to the Council's YouTube channel. This has been Your Humanities Half-hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.